This is fascinating. So I love the 1,000-foot view on this. Let's say I'm somebody who, and this is absolutely true, and it must be true that all of the beliefs that I have are not absolutely serving me, and I know that to be the case. Let's say that I come to you and I say, Mindi, I'm looking to experience more success in my business. When it comes to the belief side, do you first look for empowering beliefs to adopt, or do you first dive in to find the beliefs that we carry that aren't serving us? Like what would it look like if I came and worked with you? How would you help me dive into that?
Typically, we start with what's the belief, and it's a limiting belief, because you can recognize really quickly where you're stuck. Here's what's vital in achieving what we want, and this might sound so like, well, duh. We get to know what we want so clearly that we dive into a swimming pool of it. Like it is permeates every cell of my body. The not just what I want, not just my goals, outcomes, dreams, who I get to be, right? My identity. And that is so clear. And when that is clear, then we can clearly see the places that trip us up. And so rewiring those limiting beliefs, the ones that are keeping us from stepping more and more, embracing more and more that identity to have those beautiful milestone outcomes, that's the difference maker. Now, do we work on empowering beliefs? Absolutely. So we'll swap it. We'll get rid of the limiting belief, and I'll even do it on a scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is a lie, 10 being this is gospel. Where does this belief fall? And so the limiting belief, if it's over a 5, like a 6 or a 7, we work on it. If it's a 5 or a 4, I'm like, this is not the belief. Let's go deeper. What is the actual belief? When people are at a 10, like it's the perfect spot to just crack it open. And we start to then, okay, well, what meaning did you get? When did you decide this? What was the meaning that you gave to this? And then when we can see that there can be so many other meanings to something that we were just seeing one meaning that wasn't serving us, we weren't learning from it at all. We just decided, right? Now, all of a sudden, when we reframe and we open up to all these other meanings, literally that belief just like cracks open. It just goes, oh, it doesn't have nearly the power over me that I was letting it have, because I just had this tunnel vision towards it had one meaning. And so then I'll ask again, okay, well, who would you be without this belief? What would open up to you? Limiting beliefs also they protect us, right? Air quotes, they protect us. We think so many people, so many of the clients that I work with and just people that I talk to in general, when I'm doing interviews, anything like that, there's the belief that perfectionism like serves like, oh, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. This is a protection. And what we think is protecting us from failure is actually protecting us from success. And so when we unpack that, right, who would you be without this belief? What would open up to you? And now what's a more empowering belief that you get to believe about yourself? Which is very similar to starts as an affirmation, right? Who would I be with a more empowering belief moving me towards what I do want?
Oh man, that's so powerful. It's the confirmation bias of what we believe. We look for more things that will help us to cement that same belief. But what you're talking about is also the story that we're telling ourselves every single day of why things are the way that they are, how they came to be that way. And we're just in this perpetual cycle of constantly affirming the same belief over and over until one day we decide, okay, I want more. And I'm going to work with someone like you who can help me find these fallacies that I have and help me improve them, because we're all malleable. We all have the neuroplasticity to learn new things and believe new things. And that in itself is a belief, right? I have the neuroplasticity to learn anything. Like I could go pick up piano if I wanted to and learn how to play the piano. I could learn business, everything. It's the science of achievement, right? So we've assumed up until this point that we know what these limiting beliefs are. Okay. But for someone who's like, wow, this is really shining a light on why my life has been the way it's been for the longest time. Like, I've been in several failing relationships that just happen to look the same. The people just have different names. Like, why does this keep happening over and over? Or the patterns and stories that we find ourselves in the work, in the corporate environment, how we always look for what's greener on the other side. We're never happy with where we are. We're constantly hopping jobs. Those are limiting beliefs. They are stories that we're living in. So how would you begin to help somebody find and uncover, as if they're at the beach and they're scraping off the sand and they find something really cool? How do we find the limiting beliefs so that we can even begin this process?
One, I will say that this is another superpower of mine, bringing the unconscious conscious. I just have a 5-minute conversation with you and I can hear the limiting beliefs just in the words that you use. Words carry so much power. They either give us energy or they take it away. How I teach other people to recognize. So anyone listening, look at a disempowering habit in your life right now. What's a habit that you have that you're like, that really doesn't serve me? Like, you know what your habits are. Maybe you stay up too late. Maybe you I don't know, skip your workouts all the time. Maybe whatever it is, right? Whatever the disempowering habit is, where you're not showing up for yourself. And you're just like, yeah. When you recognize that disempowering habit, you've now recognized that there's a limiting belief in there about what you deserve, about who you get to be, about what's possible for you, about what would happen if you were successful, because lots of people fear success without realizing they fear success. We self-sabotage because with this new identity, like, if I'm no longer the party girl, right? Then who will I be? Because this is my identity. So then we create these disempowering habits to self-sabotage. We can see it when we set new goals. About 5 weeks in, 4 to 5 weeks in, when we set a new goal, we start to self-sabotage. It just is how it works, because we start to get a little bit fearful about who will I be once I do this. We're so comfortable, even if we don't like it, in our identity, that when we start to shift that, the brain is literally like, danger, Will Robinson. We want to stay in the known. We want to stay in the known,